Okay, it looks like we are back, everybody.
Yeah.
Can you guys confirm if you can see and hear me again? Oops. Hello, hello, hello. Are we back on?
Yes, Josh, we are back.
I'm not hearing you. I hope.
Are you able to hear me?
You're coming through as fuzz, Xavier. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, because you sound like you're underwater. I'm gonna resume the presentation then. Can you pull it up again? Woo! Okay, we're back. Apologies for the technical difficulties, everybody. Okay, we are back in. All right, yay. So let's move on. Xavier, was the problem with the video?
I don't think so. I'll play the video now.
Okay, folks, we're gonna move on. I want to show you a short clip of a famous chess player named Magnus Carlsen. I don't know if any of you have heard of him, but let's show him in action, and then we'll talk about why. Can we try the video here, Xavier?
Yeah.
Pay attention to the boy. Okay. What did you think there? I hope you were able to see that video. But did you notice in the middle of this important chess game between a teenage child prodigy and Garry Kasparov, ranking champion from Russia, did you notice what the boy did? Did you notice what the boy did? Throw out into the into the chat box. What did the young boy do in the middle of this important game? What did the boy do? Okay. So yes, the boy stood up in the middle of this chess game and walked away. He walked away in the middle of this important chess game. Why do you think he did that? Why did this boy in this important match, this chess match, stood up and turned around and completely walked away from this important game? Well, given the limited time here, I'm going to tell you what I think. During the match, he was focused. He was focused on the game. Just like our students are in their classes, they're focused on trying to learn, on the teacher, on the board, on their book, right? But sometimes our minds need to break away from this focus, right? And go into another mode of thinking, what a lot of scientists now call diffusive thinking. This is what Magnus Carlsen did. He stood up, he walked away, he refreshed his mind, right? He completely, removed himself from the context, and then came back and immediately, boom, went on to draw in this match. It wasn't a win, but it was a draw. But something that was very unexpected of him to do. I'm bringing this up because there are some famous innovators in the world who have used this very same technique to help to foster their own solution, problem solving. Thomas Edison one of the world's famous, and it happens to be an American, most famous innovators, right? The light bulb and many other things he developed, right? And Salvador Dali, the famous painter, both of them used a technique, this sleep think technique, where they would sit down in a chair to take a nap in the middle of the day. Yes, somebody just mentioned he took a break. Exactly. They would take a break in the middle of the day. They would put a heavy object in their hand. Edison put some metal balls, and I believe that Dali put a key, although I might have this backwards. And they would sleep, and when they would fall asleep in the chair, sitting upright, as I am now, the object would drop out of their hand and make a loud noise and wake them up. Out of this process, they developed many new ideas, right? Because they broke their focus mode and they went into this bizarre diffusive mode that helped them to develop many of the ideas that make our lives much more positive in this day and age. So, okay, we have taken our own little diffusive break, segueing now to our next topic, our final topic, this idea of cross-pollination. Cross-pollination, right? This is, to me, this is another brilliant and very practical way to foster innovative thinking and problem solving. So let's look at what are some ways that we can use this notion of cross-pollination. The ideas that I'm showing here were developed by Tina Seelig and published in one of her great books on innovation, on the innovative process. So the first idea, to combine unlike ideas, and then talk to people, hire a diverse workforce, build existing ideas, build on existing ideas, and use a metaphor. We'll look at each of these in turn and show how they can apply to our context. First, we're going to look at some real-world contexts. So let's begin with combining unlike ideas. Look at this cross-pollination, combining unlike ideas. I want you to, on the left you have a typical necktie used in many parts of the world. On the right you've got an umbrella, right, for use in rainy season in many places. What are some ways that you can take these two objects and put them together to form a different object? How can you do that? How can you combine these two to make something new? Right? Anybody have any ideas they want to throw into the chat box? How can you combine a necktie with an umbrella? Okay. All right. I know we have a bit of a delay here, so I'm giving you a moment to come up with some ideas. Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm going to show you one way that these can be combined. We take these two everyday objects, and this is bizarre. This is actually a real object, as silly as it is. This is something that somebody came up with. This is actually a Japanese idea. I am in Japan right now. This was developed out of a bizarre art form called shindogu, which means weird tools. It's this competition that many people have here, how to combine everyday objects to form something new, which is typically not something that's very practical, but is an example of something that you can see here. Obviously, this is not something that most people would use, but you can see how to combine two things. Bill Gates, developer of Microsoft, as most of you probably know, really used this idea. Annually, he takes something called a think break, where he takes a week off from his life, and he goes into a remote place and hibernates. Basically, he becomes a hermit, but he brings stacks of books with himself, right? Books on diverse topics, different topics, and he reads and reads and reads. He does nothing for a week but read for an entire week on different ideas. And out of this, he comes out with a lot of other ideas that combine in his mind, cross-pollinating. I have used an idea like this on some projects that I have worked on. When I was working in part of Eastern Europe, I brought together English teachers with technology professionals, right? IT professionals, right? Together also with professionals in various NGOs on environmental issues, human rights issues. I brought them together for a competition where we put them into a competition so that they could develop new innovative ideas in how to make the world a better place through English teaching. This screen shows you the winners of that competition who developed an app. They were English teachers, IT professionals, and they developed an app that helps people to improve the environment, the ecological environment, through English teaching. And you can actually download this app on Google Play or on the Apple Store as well. Okay, cross-pollination. The second idea, talking to people. Cross-pollination number 2, talking to people, right? This is what we're doing right now. This is exactly what we're doing right now, right? We're interacting with people from all across India and beyond India. I've seen many people from Bangladesh participating here. I myself am in Japan. But what you see on the screen here, this is a webinar that's offered by RELOs around the world, by the Department of State. It's available on the American English website. And I hope that you've participated in it. But if you look carefully, you can see the ideas that they have shared with one another. The question is, how can you manage teaching a large class, and then you have these ideas that people have shared? For example, where's one? You can make your students work on tasks, for example. You can have the students use dramatic dialogues, right? They're sharing ideas with one another simply by talking to people. This is a fabulous way to cross-pollinate and develop new ideas, right? So let's move on to cross-pollination number 3. According to Selig, hiring a diverse workforce. Hiring a diverse workforce. That means bringing people together from different walks of life. You know, there's a little bit of overlap here with some of the previous practices of cross-pollination, but the example that I'm showing here, we brought together Peace Corps volunteers in East Africa with science teachers to work together on how to better teach STEM topics, science and technology topics, science and math topics. We brought them together to be able to develop ideas together in how to teach English and math and science together. Content-based instruction. That was the focus of this project, right? That's the notion of hiring a diverse workforce. Next, build on existing ideas. Cross-pollination number 4, build on existing ideas. Take something that somebody has already developed and make it something else. Turn it into something new, right? An example here offered by, again, by some U.S. government materials and resources. We in the bottom right-hand corner, there was a publication developed by Peace Corps volunteers in how to teach large multi-level classes. This was in turn inspiration for an article in the English Teaching Forum, which in turn became a webinar, a series of webinars that you can see here. Other videos building on those same notions and how to teach large multi-level classes. These are ideas that were made better over time by adaptation, through adaptation. Finally, cross-pollination idea number 5. We're gonna wrap it up with this final notion of using a metaphor. Using a metaphor, right? A metaphor, right? Using language that's meant for one sense to apply to another sense. So here are some examples here of metaphors that were published in a book by Rebecca Oxford on English teaching, how English teachers see their jobs, right? See the work of English learning and English teaching, right? English learners soaking up the language. It's a food metaphor, music metaphors, orchestrating strategies, sports metaphors, being coached, business metaphors, investing in learning, animal metaphors. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't teach him how to think, right? Metaphors reflect our outlook and ultimately our actions. Imagine if you see, if you are a citizen of a country or the police force and you see crime as a virus or a monster, then everything needs to be destroyed or crushed, right? This is the impact of metaphors, the way we see the world. The same applies to teaching, and we can use this to our benefit. There's a fabulous series of books put out by TESOL International on how to think like how to teach as though you are working in different professions. I know we don't really have a lot of time to go through this. We don't have a lot of time to go through this, but let me ask you to take this first question. Do we have time, Xavier, for one poll? Xavier, could you bring up the first poll?
Yeah.
Yep.
The poll is live now.
Yep. Xavier, are you telling me we don't have time?
No, I have already posted the poll question.
Oh, it's there. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Okay, thank you. So yes, please take a moment to answer this poll. How would a what critique student writing? Think about this. Critique student writing. Which of these professions would critique student writing? Okay. So it's kind of bouncing back and forth. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. I'm going to end the poll at this point, just for the sake of time. Okay. Xavier, let's, so the answers will come in just a moment here, but let's move on to the next one. Let's just do one more. Let's do, let's do number 5, Xavier, the 5th poll, please. How would a blank get the team to talk the talk? Thank you. Let's take one more poll here, folks. How would a blank get a team to talk the talk? Okay. A team. Think team. There you go. There we go. Okay, you get the idea here. You get the idea. Okay, we're going to end the poll. Let's go back to the next slide here, Xavier. Here are the answers, okay? For the sake of time, here are the answers, right? How would a restaurant reviewer critique student writing, project manager plan a lesson, right, et cetera, et cetera. Basketball coach get the team to talk the talk. These are metaphors, right? This is a way to think outside of our own professional boxes here, right? The idea is to step outside of our regular comfort zones as English teachers and look at our profession through other professions, right? I encourage you to try this and or some of the other ideas here, right? What I don't want is for you to find yourself in a boat and sinking and expect somebody to come and save you, right? When we practice different ways of seeing our reality and different ways of combining our resources, human, material, ideal, this can help us to develop new solutions to our ongoing challenges, right? You have the solutions inside of you to these challenges. And I want you to swim and not sink, right? I hope that you have seen how these ideas apply to our contexts and to some of the challenges that I have seen around the world. And with that, I'm going to end my presentation. And if we have time, I'm certainly open to fielding any questions. Asha, do we have time for this?
Yes. Thank you, George, for a very interesting presentation.
Ooh.
And it's time for questions now. We have quite a few interesting questions. I don't think we'll be able to take up all the questions, but yes, there are some which need to be answered. Professor Ramani has made this question: do we develop the skills for critical and innovative thinking ourselves?
Oh my goodness,
Yes.
Asha, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I am not understanding you. You sound like you're underwater, and I hope you're not. Perhaps you can send the question through the chat.
Yes. Yes, the question was put up on chat by Professor Ramani. He says we are asked to develop critical and innovative thinking in our students, but do we, as teaching professionals, develop these skills in ourselves?
Okay. I'm sorry, Asha. I'm gonna focus on the question that I'm seeing here in the chat. And I hope that's the one that you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
So we're asked to develop critical and innovative thinking in our students. Absolutely, you should be asked that. I mean, it is our job as educators, not just as English teachers, but as educators to create global citizens, right? We should be asked to do that. But do we, as teaching professionals, develop these skills in ourselves? This is exactly what I've been talking about tonight. My audience for this presentation, the ideas that I'm talking about here are for you to apply to yourselves. You certainly can try to incorporate them into your classes, but these are ideas for you to use in developing solutions to the problems that you are facing in your classes. So my answer is yes, you should try to develop these skills in yourselves. Do we have another question, Asha?
Yes, sure. There is another interesting question by Ghulam Ali. He says, what specific design thinking techniques we may use to overcome learner passivity?
I hope you can put that into the chat too, because you still sound very garbled. I'm sorry.
Yes. It's about ways to overcome learner passivity.
Wow. What specific design thinking techniques may we use to overcome learner passivity? Right. in part, that depends on what's causing the passivity. It's an excellent question, a very relevant question, a very common issue. If it's motivation, then you need to be trying to brainstorm ways of motivating students, right? And using these different techniques. I think many of these cross-pollination techniques, or even the technique of diffusive thinking. Use those techniques. Go to sleep with that idea, and wake up and see what you come up with, or work with other people in different fields to try to help solve that problem. But it may not be simply a motivation problem. Not that motivation is a simple problem. It could be that maybe the student is acting passive because they don't understand a word that's being said, right? I mean, what we need to know is, what is the real problem? Why is the student appearing passive? Great question.
Yeah. I think we can take one more. This is by R. Kanagalakshmi. How do you combine language with cross-pollination?
Can you put it into the chat again, please, Asha? Okay.
Yeah.
How do you combine language with cross-pollination? Again, folks, you can most certainly try to use these with your students, but you are my audience here, right? We are working on our own professional development here. My aim with sharing these things with you is for you to use these ideas, for you to use this notion of cross-pollination, to try to solve some of the challenges that you are facing in your classroom. The idea is not that cross-pollination in and of itself is going to enable your students to speak English better or to improve their grammar. What it might do is help you to develop new ways of teaching that are more effective in the classroom. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yes, thank you, George. I think there's not much time for more questions now. Just to brief on the proceedings, George came up with some innovative concepts. He asked us to start thinking like a tree and derive inspiration from environment, and then coming to the discussion, the fruitful discussion on common challenges in English language class. We came up with the problems of large class, limited resources, teachers' proficiency, and gender inequality. He has addressed to these issues very amicably, and the solution that he put forth lies in design thinking, in think, break, and cross-pollination. Design thinking, as we've come to know, is a fancy way of lesson planning. And he has brought forth the way to ideate, that is, how to brainstorm, which can be done in larger classes as well as in smaller classes. Then, coming to think, diffuse, think, break, and develop new ideas, and cross-pollination through combining unlike ideas, talking to people, and hiring a diverse workforce, building on existing ideas and using metaphors. That exercise on metaphors would have taken more time, and we would love to continue with what you have brought up today for us. It has been an extremely interactive session, and we are full of stimulating ideas. I thank George for this enlightening session. It has been very interactive, and we are all taking away something good, something great, and something to last for long. Thank you, George, for making it such a wonderful session. I also need to make some announcements regarding the next webinar, which is scheduled on 20th December 2020 at 4:30 p.m. The topic for the next webinar is Becoming Better Communicators, Toastmasters, which is coordinated by ELTAI Kanchipuram chapter and ELTAI Sattur chapters. The registration link is available in the chat box. From the next webinar onwards, we will issue certificates of participation only to students and ELTAI members who attend our webinars. However, our webinars will continue to be open for anyone to attend without any registration fee. If you are not a member of ELTAI, we request you to take membership as soon as possible. Your membership will enable us to conduct more professional development programs in the future. The link to membership form is also available in the chat box. I, on the part of Jaipur chapter, am extremely grateful to ELTAI India office bearers for continuing this series of webinars and making us truly professionally proficient. And of course, not to name them again, Sanjay Arora, President, Dr. Professor Lango, Secretary, Professor Ramni, and our tech expert, Xavier. I thank them all, and it has been a wonderful piece of organizing by my chapter, my Jaipur chapter, and we are looking forward to more associations with you, George. We always love to have you with us, and this online platform has provided us a refreshed way of communicating with you. Thank you one and all. Thank you for this very good session.
My pleasure.
Over to Xavier.
We'll close the session now. Thank you.
Thank you.